Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Flying and Eating. Today, let's go somewhere and do something, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Good morning. All right, today's adventure. Hey, everybody. We are going to the U.S. Virgin Islands again. It's been a minute. I want to go back down there. Thought that'd be fun. I'm also going to take you over, if I can, to the British Virgin Islands, because we never got to do that before, because we went to the U.S. Virgin Islands during COVID and you couldn't travel. So that was always something I wanted to see. So we're going to do it. So in order to do that, though, we got to go through security and all that fun stuff. All right, through security, no problems.
For the record, the U.S. Virgin Islands has a lot to do if you're more sporty. There's parasailing, there's jet skis, there's, swimming, diving, all that sort of stuff. I'm me, so I don't do that. This is more what I'm interested in, but of course I wouldn't eat pizza here, but you get my point. Okay, it's been a minute. I'm now at my hotel, which is a pretty nice hotel, honestly. Not a great view at the moment because it's been raining. I'm actually getting like severe thunderstorm warnings, but that doesn't seem to bother anybody outside. They're all partying. So here's what happened. After I got off the plane, I went over to Hertz Rent-A-Car to pick up a car, and they had given my car away. So I'm going to give credit to Alamo here because they came in the clutch. Nobody else had cars, but like, yeah, we got cars. We'll take care of you. So I have a car. And yeah, it took a long time to get over here. It should have only taken about like 8 minutes. But it's like Mardi Gras outside. People are partying like it's insane outside. These girls are all dressed up in like, it looks like Carnival in Brazil. It's so bizarre. I would film it, but that's a little pervy. If you Google it yourself. Anyway, so yeah, I'm probably gonna get food or something now. But yeah, make base camp. Everything's all right. Oh, I should mention, if you don't know this, the U.S. Virgin Islands, they drive on the opposite side of the road like UK style. So here's a view of my hotel. As you can see, we got a pool going on. It's been raining, but it's clearing up, which is good. I'm happy about that. And there's women everywhere. Although that's not what we're here for, but it's a nice little bonus. So, like I said, it is chaos tonight. That's my hotel. And there's been lots of blaring music and lots of women, which is cool, but that's not what we're going to. I'm vaguely familiar with this area, having been here a few years ago. I believe that's the place the ferries take off from, and further up ahead is the French Quarter, which is where we're going because I'm hungry and I'm not feeling particularly explorative tonight. I don't want to step in that. I thought you had a rental car. Why don't you go drive around further in the island? Because of that. That's why. I want to avoid that. I just want to eat dinner and relax. This is an example of what a current U.S. Virgin Islands license plate looks like. It's nice. So where specifically are we going in the French Quarter? The French Quarter Bistro. You were hoping McDonald's. I know you were. McDonald's is over there. We're not doing that. French Quarter Bistro is fantastic, and I'm lazy, and it's like down the street from the hotel. It's happening. Yeah, I gotta do a shrimp and crawfish etouffee. Crawfish etouffee is like one of my weaknesses. It's one of my kryptonites. I love it. So I just came out of there. I had the crawfish etouffee. Fantastic. Well, it had shrimp in it too, crawfish and shrimp. Phenomenal. I knew it would be. And then the beignets, which were also really, really good. I don't think I had those last time I was here. Those were really good. I felt like treating myself because why not? Now I'm gonna head back to the hotel and just relax. Tomorrow is a busy day. I know it's nighttime, and I'm sure I'll eat these words tomorrow, but the temperature right now is perfect. It's a little humid because duh, but also it was raining all day, so it's a little cool. Fantastic. Good morning. I'm on St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. We are here at Cruise Bay, and we're going to be heading out there to St. John's. I have to figure out a little logistics here, but it's a beautiful, beautiful day. So here is my rental car. And here's, well, there's a chicken, but also here comes the barge. We will be boarding this and taking the car over to St. John so that I can cruise around over there, because last time I was here I had to be limited to being on foot, and that sucked. And if you look into car rentals on St. John, it is a horrible, horrible experience. Okay, I am on the ferry. They are still boarding it with all these other cars. You have to back into it. Thank God for reverse cameras. So if you're ever doing this, look for the Red Hook barge company. It seems to be the only one that takes ferries between St. John and St. Thomas. And when you get here and you get into like the parking lot, all the cars on that side have already prepaid, all the cars on this side, such as myself, have not. So you see an employee there, he's gonna walk around and just have you pay for it, which makes sense. All right, we are pulling into Cruz Bay. We came from Red Hook. Some of these names get a little confusing. I highly recommend doing a little homework on them before you decide to do it. I bought my ticket. It is round trip, and it was actually cheaper to buy it on the boat than in advance. Instead of costing $100, it only cost $67. If I bought it online with a return, it would have been like $75. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, I'm good. And now we are driving off the ferry, right on into the island. I must pay attention to driving now. So we are officially on St. John, and I've already further than I've ever been because I have the car. I could have never walked up this. I would have absolutely died. But that's where I came in, over there. And yeah, nice view, and St. Thomas is out there. And for those words, yes, of course, the Sega Pluto has returned to the U.S. Virgin Islands. You gotta remember, man, like, if you are an American, don't forget, it ain't just the 50 states. You know, there's not just D.C. We have these beautiful territories kind of spread out throughout the world. You know, the U.S. Virgin Islands, I know I've talked about this in another video, but I'll give you a truncated history. The U.S. Virgin Islands is a territory in the Caribbean of the United States. It's right next to Puerto Rico, which is also another American territory. And funny enough, on the other side of the U.S. Virgin Islands is the British Virgin Islands. And at their closest point, the United States and the United Kingdom actually do share a border, as weird as that sounds. We have 5 territories that are populated throughout the world, as well as Guam, the CNMI out in the Pacific. I've talked about that. And American Samoa, which is closer to Australia than it is mainland the U.S., although I've never been to that one. But my point is, we have all these beautiful, amazing places as American citizens. The people who are here, who are born here, are American citizens. But because this is a territory instead of a state, they simply don't get the right to vote for president. And their congressmen and their senators simply have no voting power, which is wrong, if you ask me. But that said, I'm still, where I'm standing is the United States of America. And it's a beautiful piece of it. I highly recommend you come out and check it out. We'll talk more about the history of the islands in a bit, but I just wanted you to enjoy that. Right here, this is part of the United States National Park Service, I suppose. Makes sense. A lot of natural beauty here. I just decided to detour a bit. I thought that was just a nice looking view. There's a storm coming, but you can see kind of the darkness over the water there. Then you turn to the right and it's bright and vibrant. It's just, I can't stress enough how cool it is that the US has stuff like this. And I feel it's a real shame that more Americans don't come out and check it out. So here's something you wouldn't expect. I'm kind of going hiking. I know, what happened? What's wrong? There's a reason, and hopefully I can show it to you. We have reached the beach, and it is beautiful. But there's a specific spot I'm going to try and show you. So this is called Oppenheimer Beach. You might recognize that name. J. Robert Oppenheimer was, of course, the physicist largely responsible for the creation of the atomic bomb. After the war, and after he was kind of frankly ostracized from the American population, he basically spent his life in seclusion down here on this beach. Not this one specifically. He had a house that's up there. We're going to go and try to check that out. But yeah, this beach is actually named after him. So right here, you'll see these gates. It looks like a private residence. It used to be. This is where J. Robert Oppenheimer once lived. It says private event, blah, blah, blah. That's not going on right now. But yeah, the Oppenheimer house is down there. Okay, we're here. See this house here? This is where J. Robert Oppenheimer ultimately would live after he was no longer friendly with the U.S. government, and he basically lived here in isolation. The irony now is that after he died, the U.S. Virgin Islands bought it as kind of a tourist trap. They even rent it out. There's literally a party going on here right now. Normally, this would be a great place to illustrate the isolation that Oppenheimer wanted. Just ironically today, it's like, it's all the rage. The Sega Pluto continues to collect historical sites. Well, yeah, right there, Oppenheimer's house and a beach party. I'm tired. I'm gonna walk up this nightmare and get to the car. So, advice, if you want to see the Oppenheimer stuff, again, it's just kind of a dilapidated house and a beach that's technically named after him. There's no signs or plaques or anything to that effect. It seems like the house itself normally has a lot of parking, but there's like some sort of party thing happening, so whatever, I can't really judge it that well. Parking around this area can be a little bit of a You might be wondering, like, okay, well, why don't I just walk up there if I don't want a car? It's a mountain. I thought about it, because Google said it would only take like an hour. That's assuming it was flat, which it's not. And of course, the heat
is a real factor. But you might also be thinking, well, I could rent a car in St. John's. You can technically, but there's no companies you've ever heard of. They're all like local things, and they're pretty scummy from what I can read online. They typically trap you in 3 to 5 day rental policies at like $200 a day. It's not, don't do it. I have parked the car. I look like a tomato. It's all good. You may recognize this area. This is like kind of the edge of the touristy part of St. John before it goes off into the highways, up into the roads, or up into the mountains, I should say. I've taken you guys here before. I want food. I haven't eaten yet, obviously. And a place called Sundog Cafe sounded pretty good, so that's what's happening. That, and shout out to Sunshine, who didn't come down here. He could have had his own dog or something. I got nothing. So I just came out of the Sundog Cafe. As you can see, it's kind of an open air deal. I got the coconut crunchy shrimp tacos. They were very good. And she kind of talked me into a key lime pie, which I don't normally do, but I did anyway. Oh, amazing. It was the best key lime pie I've ever had in my life. Like, I come back here just for that. Like, that was, just wow level. I was very, like, that made the whole flight worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was that level. That was good. Woof, somebody had a bad day. So over here we have, I've shown you guys this in the past, this is the Virgin Islands National Park Visitor Center. That's run by the American National Park Service. You can go in there, it's free. Just has like a little museum with the history of the islands and stuff like that. I have no reason to go over there, but I thought I would point out, but yeah, just parks and stuff. I just came out of over that little mall area, which is where Sundog and all that stuff is. I actually stopped and got a bag of coffee. Now, the U.S. Virgin Islands is actually one of the only parts of the U.S. that can grow its own coffee. However, finding the stuff that actually is grown here is kind of rare. This one is not. It was actually from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, of course, another U.S. territory, not that far from here. It's like hop, skip, a few islands over. So I thought this is the closest I can come to supporting local, as it were. That, and I just want more coffee.
So what's the plan now? Well, the thing is, I don't really have a whole lot of time. I have to basically be on the ferry in like another hour or so. Now, there's way more to St. John than I can possibly show you. It's all these islands have tons of stuff, especially the older ones where they have a lot of old history on them. There's probably some still remnants of the Dutch, era here. I've seen online there's a bunch of stuff like St. John is like the least developed of the three. The other one being St. Croix, although we're not going to that one on this trip. A good chunk of it was privately owned and then was given over as like natural, like as like a park essentially, under the condition it's never developed, which is pretty much what happened. So yeah, so we're in the developed area at the moment, and to drive out there you need a more intense car and frankly more time. All right, I think I'm in line to get on the ferry. I believe that's it back there, and then we will head back to St. Thomas, and then I'm going to take you guys to something kind of bizarre. So I'm officially back on. Not this guy in front of me, but there's a dude way out in the distance in a black t-shirt. I keep trying to show him to you, but this dude's kind of blocking me. That guy's the one who told me where to go, so I start going both times, and I get changed by someone in a red shirt, and then the dude in the black shirt comes out and yells at them and yells at me to switch back. I'm like, Curb Your Enthusiasm moments. It's like, dude, I'm doing what I'm being told. Ah. All right, we are officially back on St. Thomas. I am driving. And I'm going to take you over, guys, to something a little odd. Very odd, actually. All right, we're here. What's the surprise? We're back on Guam. There's a Kmart. No, all right, we are still in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but yes, there's a Kmart here. There's actually two of them in St. Thomas, and there's one down in St. Croix, the other major island. We won't be going there in this trip. There isn't one on St. John, apparently, but yeah, we're going to go into Kmart because I need supplies, and this is funny. So this is cool. Just like the one in Guam, they have like a whole section for local touristy crap. I mean, because one of the appeals of the location is the fact that, hey, there's only a handful of Kmarts left in the United States. This one has more of like a warehouse type of vibe, as opposed to the one in Guam that actually feels like the ones I remember when I was a kid. This feels like a warehouse that they turned into a store. This is interesting. I had never heard of this before. It's from Bermuda. I checked the back and everything. That's cool. That's on my list of places to go, is Bermuda for sure. If I could get just one, I would. All right, I'm back at the hotel. I've been chilling for a bit, kind of recharging. I'm gonna go get dinner. There's a cool looking like buffet chicken type of place like down the street I can walk to. Never been there, but it looks good and sounds good. I may have to hit up the pool possibly tonight.
I don't know. So I kind of want to talk about a little bit of a, I guess you would call it a travel phenomenon. Now, you guys see me travel all the time, right? So you must think I'm like, oh, he's always just used to it. Okay, yes, that's true. But there's always a mild amount of anxiety whenever going to a place, even a place I've been to before. So don't feel weird if you're like, why do I feel nervous all the time? And this guy doesn't. I do. It's just something about going to a new place, even if it isn't that new, you're just like, ugh, the logistics. However, after you kind of settle in, you've handled some of the logistics and you're good to go, this peace comes over you. And that's where I'm at now, because I handled all the St. John stuff and I just feel a lot better. Now I'm able to just enjoy my night on this beautiful island, one of America's treasures. Come see it.
And here we are, the Chicken Fry. That's where I want to go. My hotel's right over there.
Just came out of there. There was a massive line, and it's still going. It's just a constant stream of people going in. Buffet style, you basically just point like whatever you want. So I got the stewed chicken with macaroni and cheese and like cheesy potatoes, and we're gonna eat it in the hotel room. Because I'm immature. Good morning. Beautiful day here today in St. Thomas. I'm hungry, so that just happens. So yeah, no, beautiful day here. I'm gonna go get breakfast. I should have told you the food last night was good. It was all right. The chicken was only okay. It was actually the sides I thought were a lot better, but it was a ton of food, a ton of it. We're going down to, I think it's called like Gladys Cafe or something like that. It's up the street, it's walkable. Even though I have the rental car, I prefer not to drive if I don't have to. So if you want to find the place, a lot of these are like literally hidden. And so you look for signs like this, that's where we're going to, Gladys Cafe. Also, lost turtles. That's sad. See, there it is. I like this. It's just looks like this. Oh, it's hidden away. It's neat. This is cool. They have this thing about pirate treasure and how back in the pirate days of the Danish, this was like a special hidden passage to get from like, you know, one area to another for pirates. And that supposedly there might still be buried treasure. It's just messing with you as a tourist though. All right, I just came out of Gladys Cafe and I think I actually met her. She was cool. So the food was good. I had like grits and potatoes and toast and eggs, just kind of basic breakfast with local spices, etc. I wouldn't describe it as anything incredible, but definitely a nice hearty breakfast to start off the day. So I'm content, and that's what you're going for in this context. So I also got a bunch of extra free coffee, but I don't think that's typically anything that special, because we are in a part of the world, part of the US, that can actually make that stuff. Disclaimer, multiple times in this video I referred to the Danes of Denmark as the Dutch, which are of course from the Netherlands. I screwed it up, I apologize. Every single time I refer to the Dutch, I'm actually talking about the Danes. So this is our backdrop, and I apologize for noise because we are next to a highway. This is ultimately America. I wanted to talk a little bit about why America actually has these islands, and why we don't have all of them. Because next door, of course, is the British Virgin Islands. What's the story with that? We'll actually be going to the British Virgin Islands so you guys can see that as well, or a little bit of it anyway. Yeah, we got trucks, man. There was a cyber truck too. Anyway, so what's the deal? Basically, the long and the short of it is, these islands, this whole region, the Caribbean, you know it from Pirates in the Caribbean, etc. Pre-European society was no local natives, etc. Then, as happens, the Europeans showed up and were like, empire! Specifically, the Dutch. We now think of the Dutch as just kind of a friendly little European nation, but they were one hell of an imperial power at one point, and they took over a massive chunk of the Caribbean. What we now know as the Virgin Islands, both sides, were at one time Dutch. And it stayed that way for like a hot minute until the British showed up and they're like, right, this season, what you got it in? All right, I think I'll just be taking that. And they took half the islands. I wish they took these trucks though. But anyway, so the British took one half of the islands. And the other side that remained Dutch stayed Dutch until about World War I, I think it was 1917 or so. When that happened, the Dutch, who were still actively fighting in the war against the Germans, needed money. America was founded on the one principle: kick all European military assets out of North America. And by 1917, we had largely done that, with a few exceptions. And the Dutch suddenly were like, hey, we need money to fight this war. We have these islands in North America we're not using. We have military assets there we can't access or use. Let's cut a deal with the Americans. The Americans saw an opportunity to get rid of a potential geopolitical threat, and all they had to do was spend a little money, and then they inherited a whole bunch of territory as a result. That is why the American U.S. Virgin Islands are what they are today. Of course, the British still have the other side, and we're going to scope that out tomorrow.
You can't see it from here, but obviously we went to St. John yesterday, and we were on St. Thomas. There's 3 major islands that compose of the U.S. Virgin Islands in addition to some smaller ones. Like, technically, that's a separate island right there. St. Croix, but you can't see St. Croix. St. Croix is like way down there. I've taken you to there in a different video. The most interesting thing to me about St. Croix is that it's technically the easternmost point of the United States, and to that end they built a structure there under the Bill Clinton administration called Point Udall, which is just like, yep, this is where America's, like, the sunset begins on America, technically. Sort of, if you want to think it's the easternmost point. I guess you could argue Guam, but Guam's technically the westernmost point despite being the first in the international date line. Whatever, doesn't matter. Point is, there's an interesting little factoid about that. Other than that, Michael Jordan has a house here. Tim Duncan is from here, NBA legend as well. Yeah. And we're on St. Thomas, which is the most populous of the islands. It's also the one where the primary airport is, which is down there. And typically, if you're going to come to the U.S. Virgin Islands, you'll probably end up here. A lot of people consider this the transient island. Like, this is the one you get to the islands, and then from there, depending on your interests, you either take a boat out to St. John or you take a boat down to St. Croix. In my experience, having been on all 3, I think that I like St. Thomas the most, just because it seems like this is the one where people actually live, so it has the most, like, normal slice of life type of stuff. Granted, I only spent a little bit of time on St. Croix. I did enjoy it, but I was only there for like a few hours. And St. John, again, only a few hours, but 2 times, and I think that it's my least favorite of the 3. I think in order to really enjoy St. John, I think you need to have a yacht and be very, very rich.
All right, everybody, it's pool time, so I'm gonna go in there and relax. So then I'm gonna show you guys some stuff.
One thing I really like about this hotel is you see these well, statues. Basically, these aren't statues. They're children who are frozen in carbonite as a warning to other children to not misbehave.
Pool time is concluded. I saw boobies. Girl turned over because she was sunbathing and wanted to do everything evenly. No complaints.
And that'll do it for part 1. Thank you so much for watching. There will be 3 parts to this. In the next one, we will continue around St. Thomas, show you some other touristy stuff, and then we will head over to the island of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands and show you some stuff there as well. But in the meantime, if you guys can do me a favor, please like this video, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't done that before, and check out all the social media stuff in the description. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, etc. I appreciate the support on all those platforms. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.